Hey y'all, my name's Seth Packan, and this is Podunk Perspective, a podcast based on the Podunk Perspective. Podunk Perspective, we are back with my man, Eddie Marange. How we doing?
Doing good, bro. Thanks for having me, though.
Yeah, so you're new to town. You were just telling me, we were talking in the elevator. This is 2 weeks?
It's 13 days today, bro.
Damn.
13 days, and I was gone for like 7 of them.
That's wild. So you're from Florida originally. Mm-hmm. I guess, what were you doing in Florida before you even thought about coming to Nashville? You
Bro,
know?
that is a loaded question, sir. So right before moving here, I was actually a police officer.
Okay, yeah.
I was living in Tampa, Florida. I was a police officer. Always loved the creative stuff. Always dreamed of like working in music.
Yeah,
like since I was a little kid, like I'd be like air drum. I still air drum.
Yeah.
But always dreamed of being in music, but I can't sing and I can't play any instruments. So I was just like, I don't know where my path is. And I picked up a camera and I started doing video. I started working with photo, and I was like, man, I want to work with country artists. Like country's like my favorite genre. I geek out over like finding new artists and underrated artists and up and coming like songs that should be popular. And yeah, man, like it's been a freaking wild ride.
That's so cool. So in Florida, you grew up in Tampa, you said? Or
I grew up in Miami, but I was living in Tampa right before I moved out here. Yeah.
Awesome. Did you play sports in high school?
Bro, I'm not an athlete.
Yeah.
I played baseball. I played baseball when not high school, like little league. I struck out every single time I went up to bat. I was like the 13th batter. I was a second string right fielder. Yeah. And then I played football in high school. We never won a single game. So like not trying to brag.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So out of high school, did you go to college or like? What did you go to school for?
Bro, 2 things. I was actually an EMT, and then I got my degree in criminal justice.
Okay,
because I thought like I'm going the first responder route. Like that's what I thought I was gonna do. And
sweet,
yeah, man.
What college?
So the school that I wanted to go to, University of Florida, go Gators. Yeah. I would say that I didn't get accepted, but I didn't even meet the minimum qualifications to apply. So I couldn't even apply to the school.
Right.
I was not a good student. Like actually graduation day in high school, my graduating class was like 1,000. Yeah. And so you give your card to the assistant principal and then he gives it to the person reading your name as you cross the stage. I gave the assistant principal the card and he's like, I never thought I'd see the day. And it's just like wild. But like crazy. To be fair, like he wasn't wrong. Yeah. But I just went to a 4-year college called Miami-Dade College down there, and I got my degree. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So you're kind of filling me in what you've done in the past. You said you were a pastor too. How does this fit in?
So man, basically, like I think the best way to like get me to do something is like tell me I can't do something. Right. And I always wanted to be a cop, but I didn't make like the best choices like growing up. Nothing like crazy, but I just didn't make the best choices growing up. So I got rejected by a lot of like police departments and a lot of different things. And at the time, I wasn't raised in church. I started going to church when I was like 21, 22 years old. And I just kind of started getting involved, started volunteering. And then I kept applying to police departments and I kept getting rejected and rejected and rejected. But I kept getting opportunities like at churches and to like work at different churches. And got some opportunities. I moved to Pensacola and then I worked at a church in Las Vegas. And meanwhile, I'm still like, I still want to be a cop, but like I loved like what I got to do because I felt like I was able to just like, my heart's always been like helping people. Yeah. And I just got to like really like help a lot of people and like be a part of something cool.
So cool.
And just like something life-changing.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. It was super rewarding. I loved every minute of it, but there was always that like, oh, like I still kind of want to be a cop. That's always been like the dream. And like they keep telling me no, so I want to do it more.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, it's like went from being an EMT to being a pastor. And then obviously the police officer thing, man. It's wild.
You said you were you were a pastor out in Vegas. Did you live out there? Or?
I did, yeah. So I lived in Vegas for like 4 years. And when I said I was a pastor, I wasn't like the main pastor. Yeah. It was like huge churches, and I was like one of the pastors. It was all like the guest experience. So like when people are coming in, making sure they feel welcome.
Absolutely.
Because like I came to church later, so I felt welcome when I walked into that first church, and I wanted to make sure people felt the same way. Like they didn't feel judged, that they didn't feel like, like you can have your tattoos, you can have everything, still be cool.
Yeah. Is it different walking into a church in Vegas than it is like somewhere else?
Bro. So, all right. It was the church that I was at. Love it. Some of my best friends to this day. Like it's definitely production heavy because that's what people in Vegas are used to. But so like one of the things I was over was like baptisms. And we had this big baptism event, like 1,000 people got baptized like over the course of the weekend at our different campuses. We would have for like the females, we would have like hey, you can change into this t-shirt and shorts or whatever, because people just like get baptized in their clothes.
Right.
And this one lady's like, nah, I'm good. She just took off her shirt and was like in her bra
Wild.
to like get baptized. I'm like, yo, I wasn't trained for this. Like, I don't know what to do. And then like the offering, like whenever we like pass around the offering, there'll be like poker chips, like for the casinos, or there'll be like a band of ones that would be in there.
That's wild.
And you're just like, well, like dope, like you're here, so like that's what counts. Like that's sick.
That's crazy. Getting poker chips.
It was like between the poker chips or the bands of ones. I'm just like, all right, cool.
Yeah. So then you moved back to Florida.
Yep.
What made you move back?
Just family stuff, man. Family stuff. I had a bunch of like family stuff going on at the time. And then Florida. I've always just kind of loved the South.
Yeah.
That's always just kind of been like my thing. That's always like where I've felt most at home.
Right.
And I loved Vegas. Like loved my friends there. Loved the church that I was at. But I just kind of was always like, just always loved the South.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. So were you a country music like avid listener before you know, even moving to Nashville and stuff?
Well, yeah. So before, I didn't grow up on country music.
Yeah.
So I'm Cuban. I didn't learn English till I was like 6 years old.
Yeah.
I grew up on hip hop. Like
Okay.
I grew up on hip hop, and just like I always loved like the storytelling with hip hop. I always loved like the way that like you can just like communicate the story, evoke an emotion, and this. And I went to school in Miami, and predominantly it's called Hialeah, mostly Cuban population. And I went to college, and there was this girl that like walked in like cowboy boots, and I had never really like seen anything like that. So I like wanted to talk to her, but I was like freaking out. And one of my friends actually wrote her a note like pretending to be me. And next thing I know, she's like giving me her number, and I'm like panicking. Like I'm like in my biology class panicking. And so we started talking at the time, like my pants were sagging. I was actually chasing a rap career. I had gold teeth. I had these lime green shoes. And like, so like we talked, and she made me this like mixed CD, like 'cause I'm old, but it had like all these country songs on it. And I had this like old Impala with like dark tints and like one of those like in-dash like, and I put it on. And at first I was like, man, like the accents are kind of weird.
Right.
But the storytelling is sick. And like the first 3 songs I fell in love with were Brad Paisley, Mud on the Tires, Blake Shelton, Austin, and Tim McGraw, Red Ragtop.
All 3 great songs. Bangers.
Bro, I heard Austin for the first time, and I got like choked up.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is sick.
No.
And little by little, I just like kept listening to it more and more. And I just fell in love with like just the storytelling, with everything about it. And I'm just like, damn, just never look back.
No, it's so funny. Obviously, like music itself has a big control on people. You know, it can really move emotions and stuff. But I think country music, like you're saying in general, between the storytelling and everything, it really moves people. And I've also noticed like this trend of like, if you weren't a country fan, like early in your life, you hit, you know, your mid-20s, your 30s, all of a sudden you become a country fan because some of your friends are listening to, you know, it's funny how that trend works. You know, you kind of, especially with country being so big now and everything, it's wild.
Well, this was, again, I'm dating myself, but this was 2007.
Yeah.
So like it still wasn't like mainstream cool.
Yeah.
And all my friends made fun of me. They're like, you're Cuban, bro. Like you're literally like trying to be a rapper. So it was, but now like all of them listen to country music, and but like I'm the one that like forced it on them. So
what really made you pull the trigger and be like, I'm moving to Nashville? It's time,
bro. Like, so not to be cheesy, like my faith is just like such a big part of like my life and everything. And like, again, like I don't just say this, like I feel like God opened some opportunities and some doors that like I would have never been able to open.
Absolutely.
And the opportunities that I've been able to get, like I'm just super grateful for.
Right.
And it was a tough decision because I really enjoyed being a cop. Like I felt like I really got to help a lot of people in times of need. But music's always been like this passion. Music's always like, I get chills like just like thinking about it now.
Yeah. So you were doing like content and stuff before you even moved here?
So when you say content,
like just anything with a camera, you know, like, so that's like, did you get jobs lined up before you moved? That's kind of
so yeah, man. I mean, I guess I could like how I got my start essentially. So it was just kind of like it was probably like the worst year I ever had like in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like it was just like my mom had some health issues. It was like just like there was a lot of different things going on. Again, I'm not athletic, so I didn't like I'm not gonna go play basketball. Like I'm not gonna go do these things. And I've always been like social media savvy and all that.
Yeah.
And I used to make TikTok content about like being a first responder.
Yeah.
Only reason I jumped on TikTok is somebody told me I would never go viral. And I was like, all right, bet. Like I'm gonna prove you wrong. They're like, all right, cool. Like you're not gonna do it. Like just kind of joking. And I was like, all right, cool. That just makes you want to do it more. Like I didn't even have the app. This was in 2020. Didn't even have the app. Downloaded it and then started making content. Like 4 weeks later, I went viral.
Yeah.
On like first responder content. So I was doing that, and I would help some of my friends with their socials and stuff, and like started like getting into that and like with their businesses. And then like one of my friends I did for his restaurant, and they went viral. And he's like, bro, I get like 3 to 5 people a week coming in from like the TikTok. And I'm like, yo, that's sick. Like, that's so cool. And I noticed like I'm a huge extrovert. Yeah. So the fact that like I was locking myself in my room for hours editing, I'm like, there's something there. Yeah. So I bought a camera on Facebook Marketplace, like literally like watch a bunch of YouTube videos, bought a camera on Facebook Marketplace, like didn't even know how to take off the lens when I bought it. And just started filming stuff, like ruining everything, like literally everything that I shot. But it just became like this creative escape. Right. And like, it was like a really tough time with like things that I was like dealing with and stuff. And it just became this creative escape. It became an outlet. And I was like, it'd just be so cool to like work with country artists. But I live in Tampa and I have no connections. Right. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to start posting TikTok content about songs that I like. And like up and coming, like underrated artists, like different things, like music that I'm already sharing with my friends. I'm just going to post TikToks about it. Yeah. And I kind of switched my page. I had like 27,000 followers at the time just for like first responder content. And it started to like do really well. Yeah. And it started to like pick up. In my mind, like I was never trying to be a content creator. I was just trying to use that to like network, to then meet an artist, to then like film. Right. And I remember at the beginning of 2024 being like, I just want to film for one artist, just one. And I thought that was never going to happen. I thought that was so impossible. And I felt like God was just like, all right. Like, and TikTok started like taking off, and then I got like an email like, what's your rate to promote a song? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what? Yeah. Like people get paid for that? That's awesome. So I didn't know any of that. Yes. So like having to learn all that. And then like whenever I like joke around in 2024, I've never slid in so many dudes' DMs as I have, but I would like look up like their manager, their like everyone on their tour. Like I would just like look stuff up, and I'd be like, hey, I want to film for you for free. Yes. Cause at the time I'm a cop. So like, I'm doing this for fun. Yeah. And I remember driving 8 hours one way, paid my own way, drove 8 hours to a show in Athens, Georgia for Restless Road, and booked my own Airbnb and everything just to film for them for free to come back. Cause I'm just like, I want to build my
things
portfolio.
You have to do, right?
Yeah. And bro, like it just like little by little, I just started like doing more and like,
how was shooting that show? Like in the moment, you know?
It was so surreal. Like, cause I was just like I was a huge fan of their work. But even before that, I'm like, just to build my portfolio, I met this dude at this little country bar in Tampa. And I was like, bro, I'll film for you for free. And he's like, yeah, okay. And he had this like little show. It was like 8 people there. And like, I'm literally like driving there, like how to video country concerts. Like, so I'm like using this as like an example of like to build. And like me and him became super cool and was able to use some of that. And then before that, one of my friends had a random connection to Craig Campbell. And I was in Vegas at the same time Craig Campbell was there, so I was able to like film for him. Yeah. And again, like just like little things just kept like lining up in a way that like this isn't me. Like this is like there has to be something more. But like being a fan of Restless Road and then being there, then they had this like thing where like at college towns they would like guest bartend. Right. So then going after that, I'm like, yo, this is wild. Like this is crazy. Like I want to do this. Yes. Yeah, and just kind of kept building from there, bro.
That's so cool. So who are some of your favorite artists you listen to today?
It's all over the place. I feel like I have different categories. Like obviously like the Morgan Wallen album dropped not that long ago. So that's kind of like had me in a chokehold for the last few weeks. But one of my favorite artists is Ian Munsick. Yeah. I like, bro, love his stuff. I've seen him live like 5 or 6 times. Damn, yeah. And funny story about that too. It's like just, I've shared a lot of the highs, but like just some of the lows, like Ian Munsick, I was trying to get in touch with like their team because they had a show like 2.5 hours south of Tampa, and wasn't able to get in touch with anyone, which is fair. Like I'm nobody, I'm still nobody. Yeah, right. And I got in touch with the production or like the promotion company that was like putting it together, and they're like, "Yeah, we'd love to have you out." Like, sick. drive 2.5 hours. I show up. I'm like in the green room. I'm getting my stuff set. Was talking to Ian security, and like he used to be law enforcement, so we're like talking about that. Yeah. He's like, hey, just so you know, like for photos, like first 3 songs, this and that. I'm like, oh, didn't know that. I was like, but actually I'm doing video. They're like, oh, who did you like set that up by? I was like, oh, like this company. And they're like, oh, I don't think we like knew about that. So there was just like a gap in communication. Yes. Like, and again, like, it happens. I don't take it personal, so man. Like they're all juggling so many different things. So like, you can't take that personal. Right. But there was just a huge gap in communication. It went through like Ian's team, and they're like, hey, we never, like, this never got cleared. Like, sorry. Like, they're super nice about it. And I was like, so bummed, bro. So bummed. So I like go outside. I'm like texting the team from the company, and they're like, hey, sorry, like you can go to the show if you want. I'm like, okay, like I guess I'm just gonna do this by myself. So I go back outside. I'm like, I put my gear inside my truck and just like sitting there, and I'm like depressed, like so sad. And I'm like, okay, I can like be miserable right now, or I can like remember what this moment feels like. Right. And whenever I get these other opportunities, I can look back at this and it could like remind me of like some of like the lower moments of like just being let down and being crushed. And and I'm just gonna go in and I'm just gonna make the most of it. So I like went in, I got a Coors Light, and I just like met these like 3 dudes that were just like hanging out, and they were like with a group of people and had a great time.
That's so cool.
So
yeah, no, it's the lack of communication thing happens a lot in this industry, you know, but it happens. Yeah. It's just a thing, but no, like you said, you know, it's something to look back on, and those next things that come up in your life are going to be even cooler because of that moment, you know? So, what other like big artists have you like shot for, or, like, done stuff with?
Bro, it's, I think so. The biggest one I've done, and it came out of it was actually a byproduct of that Restless Road show. I didn't realize that the people that managed Restless Road were also managed Kane Brown. Yeah. So Kane Brown was in Tampa for 2 nights, and I was like, oh, it'd be so sick to go to. Yeah. One of my friends like, oh, I got tickets to go. I was like, oh, sick, like sick invite or whatever. And then I was like, wait, like they're like, I just connected these dots. Like, let me reach out, like literally like Hail Mary, like let me see. I'm like, I'm gonna do it for free. Yeah. Like they have their guy who's like so freaking talented. Like Kane Brown's creative director is so talented. So I'm like, I'm just gonna offer to do this for free just because it'd be such a cool experience. Yes. And they like reached out and they're like, oh my gosh, we'd love to have you. Like, I'm like, what? Bro, I'm not a runner. I ran inside my house like laps, like full sprint, like freaking out. It was the first time I had ever done a show at an arena, because like before that it was just like a lot of like these small like honky tonks and stuff.
What arena was it?
Amalie Arena in Tampa. Okay, yeah. And they brought me out for 2 nights, and then like the first night he's like, they're super welcoming, and they're like, hey, just like don't go on stage during the first night. Let's say for the second night, so you get a feel for the show, because there's like confetti and fire. I'm like, what? And like also that was just like such a moment. Like for me, I always take a time and like pause, because I'm very big on like what's next. Right. So I'm very intentional. Like every opportunity that I get to do this, I'm very intentional to just take a moment and reflect. I'm like, thank you, God. Like, thank you for like getting me here. Because the last time I was at a show at that arena, I'm not exaggerating, I was literally in the last row of the upper deck at the wall for a Blake Shelton show. Yeah. Like, I was literally at the wall, and I was happy to be there. No, I just love music. I was happy to be there. So now I'm on stage, fire's going up, and I'm filming for Kane Brown. And it's like, God, like, thank you. Like, it's just, it's wild.
And did you learn a lot of stuff from that shoot and everything? Like, you know, being around that big production and everything?
It was, man. It just like, it was just a different level. Right. It was just such a different level. And like, people are like, oh, you got to meet Kane Brown. I was like, nah, like literally went like this to him. Like, that was it. Cause it's just everybody, there's so many people on the tour, and everybody has their own job. And I'm just coming in for like these 2 nights. So like, his team, like the creative people, were like super welcoming and super nice. Absolutely. And they all made sure I was taken care of and all that. So like they were super cool. But it was just like, it showed me like that the organization and everything that goes into like planning all that stuff, which was honestly like sick. Like it was just so cool to see that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, speaking a lot of concerts and stuff, we got CMA Fest in town this week. Have you been to CMA Fest before? Is this your first time?
No, last year was my first CMA Fest.
Okay, were you shooting it? Or
I was, yeah.
For who?
That again, So Tucker Wetmore had a show at the same venue that I told you with the Ian Munsick thing. It was about 2.5 hours away. He was opening up for Cameron Marlowe, and I think his song, his first single had only been out like a month or something, but he was like, it was starting to like take off, and I again offered to do it for free, and they're like, yeah, we'd love to have you, whatever. Like, met Tucker, nicest dude ever. And at the time, I had done some work with Graylin James, and he's always been like super cool. He's like honestly one of the first ones that like took me out on tour and like gave me opportunities and stuff. So like always grateful for that. And for CMA Fest, I was here for Graylin, and I like reached out to Tucker. He was like, hey, like I'm in town, would love to like help out. Like I'll even do it for free because again, I'm still a cop at this point, so I'm like I'm not banking on any of this money. They're like, actually, we'd love to like just hire you all weekend if you're available. I'm like, what? What? And it was such a cool experience, man. Like I love to see good things happen to good people. And there was this moment where he was at the Hard Rock stage, and they literally shut down Broadway.
They were at capacity or something.
At capacity, like getting text messages like at capacity, like we're getting like a briefing, like, hey, like just in case we got to like shut this down, like we're gonna give this cue and this, and I'm like, and I just like look up, and there's the Hard Rock stage and the whole thing where Broadway is flooded, and he's like, and people are like singing his song, and it's just like, and this dude is like literally like, he would like do these shows, he'd be like, hey man, I noticed you didn't eat, like do you need food? I'm like, bro, like you have so many other things to worry about, so like just to like see like something so powerful for such a good dude,
that's cool,
and like being able to like be a part of that in like such a small capacity, because he has his like main guy Chase, like, and Chase is like such a great dude as well, and hearing so many people singing his song, like Wind Up Missing You and Wine and a Whiskey, like hearing so many people sing that back to him, because
at this time he probably only had like 4 songs out, right?
He had I think it was What Would You Do, Wine and a Whiskey, and Wind Up Missing You. Like those were like the 3, because his first single dropped in February and this is June, so it was just insane. And like I remember like coming off stage with him, and like people are like lined up around and like asking for his autograph, and he's signing, and he's just like ecstatic. And it was just like such a cool moment to like see that for him, like seeing that happen for him.
Well, you're part of the ride technically, you know. You're making
like,
that moment happen.
I was able to help video. Like me and Chase were kind of like working on a lot of the stuff together that weekend. And even after all that, he's like, "Hey man, we'd love to like have you at the house. Like we're doing this like we're like grilling food, whatever." And then he invited me over. I'm like, "Freaking kidding me, dude!" Like
that's awesome.
It was such a cool moment. Like it was definitely a core memory for sure.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. So when you're out on the road and stuff, what's your go-to stops and like snacks and stuff? Where are you going?
That's tough. I'm trying to be better. I'm definitely a salty over sweet kind of guy.
Well, especially being a cop too, you're on the road stopping, stuff like that all the time.
Like as a cop, Chick-fil-A. I had Chick-fil-A every single day, and they would like give us a discount. So I'm like, I can't I'd be losing money if I don't go. So like it was like literally cheaper than meal prepping too.
That's crazy.
So definitely Chick-fil-A is always like the stop. And snack wise, like I just I love Doritos. I love like salty over sweet kind of thing. Unfortunately, like hooked like Ghost energy drinks has me in a chokehold. Like,
are you a Buc-ee's guy?
I do love Buc-ee's. Their chips, like they're like potato chips, bro.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Their jerk, I'm a big fan of their jerk. I mean, they have a bunch of good stuff there, but you can go there and literally get a full meal and leave.
And they're like sour strips or whatever, like their Buc-ee's ones. Bro, so good.
That's so tight. So, what are some cool things you got coming up in 2025? You know, some things you can tell us.
Man, it's just everything just feels so wild. Like everything just feels so surreal. Like my stuff as like a content creator has picked up, which is still so wild to me to like be able to like do that. And like I don't even know. Like but one of my main things, I work with this like indie record label called Gravel Road, and it's like Lakeview, Willie Jones, and then we have one guy named Travis Bolt who has a song called Never Tried Cocaine, and that's been my first project and my first like take at like artist development and stuff, and just like helping him like develop his brand, and like we have like a whole team, but just like being, and he's like, again, he's like such a good dude. Like it's like when it's like, oh, what success means, he's like buy my mom a house or like this and that. Like such a good dude. And being able to be like, hey, like, let's wear this or let's try this, or like, you love motorcycles, so like, let's do this. And like, just kind of like spending a week of him learning and like helping him develop his brand, his voice, and running his socials. And was able to like, we grew his TikTok from like 1,500 followers to 152,000 in like 5 months.
Right.
And then he played in Germany in C2C, and I was able to go to that and like hearing people sing that song for him.
Yeah.
Like that's been like such a wild experience to like be a part of like helping build that up. So I'd love to like continue to help. Like, that's my biggest thing. Like, people ask me like, oh, what's a dream artist or something to work for? I was like, yeah, I'd love to work with Morgan Wallen. Like, I'm a huge fan. However, I would much more love to like help build somebody up and like help somebody
be their guy, you know,
help somebody else's dream come true. Like, that's like, I feel like that's like a legacy.
Right.
And like, I would love to like keep doing that. I've been super grateful that Chase Matthews' team has like helped me, like has hired me for like a bunch of stuff, and like was able to go out on tour with him. Was been able to do like, done like 3 shoots in the last week with their team. And like, he's also like just such a good dude, man. Like, another that's like, man, I love you. Like, I'm so glad you're here. Our first day on tour is my birthday. Right. And he found out it was my birthday and he was like, bro, like, we got to celebrate. I was like, I'm here for you, bro. Like, I'm here to work. Like, I'm caught. Like, I was a cop. Like, I'm used to working holidays on my birthday. Like, it is what it is. Like, you just do it. Yeah. Bro, like, I got a call from the tour manager and he's like, hey, Eddie, I need you to over by the buses. And I was like, my first thought is like, I'm fired. Like, they're flying me home. I was like, I don't even know what I did. The show hasn't even happened yet, but I'm like, I'm fired. Yeah. And I'm like walking, like super nervous. And I turn the corner. He like has this like really serious look. And then Chase just walks around the corner with a birthday cake. And it says 21 on it. I for sure am not 21. And he just started singing happy birthday, like had gathered all these people and like just sang me happy birthday. And I was just like, bro, like, you didn't have to do this. Like, you're about to go on, you're about to go on tour. Like, you're about to like go on stage in like 45 minutes. Yeah. And you took the time to do this. Like, that meant a lot.
Chase seems like, I mean, obviously he seems like a very nice guy, but obviously his tour seems rowdy. You know, they put on a good show and everything. Every time that I've seen them, you know, they do a killer job.
Bro, I was at his show in Tampa, 7-8 months ago? Yeah. And like, it's just so wild. I was able to meet him a few times after that, like as a content creator. And he's like, bro, like, I love what you do. And like, was able to just like have like good conversations about faith and like get to know him more as a person. So like, we had kind of established like a little bit of like a relationship. And then now like being able to go out on the road with him and seeing that he's literally the same person. Like, he's like, just like really cares about like his people, really cares about little details, which I feel like that's what sets you apart. Yeah. And like, such a cool opportunity. Like, he's opening it for Keith Urban on this tour. And it's like such a cool opportunity for him. Like,
well, it's really cool. And like, it's not too often that like an artist photographer can also promote their music for them, you know, through like your page and stuff like that. Have you like seen a big difference when you like started posting like the music stuff and it's helped your photography side?
Yeah, well, I feel like that, like, God used TikTok, like, in the last year, I mentioned, like, I had 27,000 followers, and then in the last year, I went from 27,000 to 293,000. Yeah. And, which, like, that doesn't matter, like, at all.
Is there an algorithm?
There's for sure, like, an algorithm, but, like, you can go viral off, like, having 3 followers. Like, that doesn't really, like, matter. I think, like, more what it speaks to is, like, hey, like, you're consistent, or you're working on it, right? Like, the follower count doesn't matter. But like, you're consistent, you're putting in the work. And also, like, when I'm saying, hey, I can help grow your socials, it's not a theory. Like, I can show you with like mine. And like, for me, like, it's not about the follower count, it's not about the views. It's like, I love like the strategy behind it. It's like, okay, well, why did that video flop? Why didn't that flop? Why did that do well? Why didn't that do well? And not like, oh, I got 1 million views. Cool. It's like, okay, but why? Let's like dig in. And how do my biggest thing is like helping others. So like, how do I like replicate this for you? Yes. And that's been really cool. So like, even when we were out on this last run, I was able to like, one of the other artists, Carly, like, she had a song that just dropped that day. I was like, yo, let's just film a promo video for it. Yeah. So we just like jumped on it and like, it's been cool.
That's so cool. That's really cool. So what are some goals of yours you have, you know, for living in Nashville now and what you're doing?
It's such a tough question, man. Because I feel like the 5-year plan question gets thrown around a lot. Yeah. If you would have asked me 5 years ago what my goal was, I would have said, oh, I'm going to be a detective. Yeah. And I feel like there's like definitely like having those goals and having aspirations and having something you're chasing, but like holding that loosely because like, again, not to be cheesy, but like God's plan is just so much greater than anything we can ever dream of. And like, I never thought in a million years I would be like, I've been listening to County Line since it dropped back in 2021. Like I used to listen to that song 300 times a day. So like now the fact that this dude's like, bro, I love having you here, this and that. And like, I'm out filming with him and like, we were like at his house filming some content and he's just like, so like hospitable. I'm like what? Like, this is so much better than anything I could have ever written. So I'm super grateful for that. And I've really fallen in love with like the artist development side, like just helping. I'd love to have like some kind of like hybrid, like A&R, like management, like kind of role where like I can just help other people make their dreams come true, bro. Like that'd be so sick.
That's so cool. It looks like you're doing the right thing. You hit the ground running. It seems like once you started doing the content and everything. Eddie, I appreciate you coming on, my man. You want to plug any social media stuff? You put a lot of effort into the content and stuff.
I mean, I appreciate that. Yeah. At Eddie Marange on TikTok and Instagram, man. Like, hopefully you find some new music out of it and hopefully you find some content that inspires you.
Go check out his content. Thanks for coming on, my man.
Thanks for having me, bro. I appreciate you.